I would have done a much better job driving than our driver, maybe. I didn't think we were going to make it up the mountain at times. The guy could have told you where to go. And yes, I have always wanted, not always, since coming here, I think Alice was a baby. I've always wanted to go on a mission trip. Every time the team comes, I always would poke Greg and say, let's go, come on, I want to go. But I had young kids or whatever. You can have all the excuses, but I thought my boys are old enough. They're strong, capable young men. This is the year, and we got the okay from Greg to get our passports, and Wolfie was on us, and so I'm so glad we went. It was incredible. The things I was afraid of seem so silly now because the Lord provides. He provided in every single way. I thought I wouldn't sleep. I slept like a baby. I thought I would be missing home, and I didn't want to come home. In fact, coming home was very difficult. That's something I wasn't anticipating, and it wasn't just because of the bus ride we had to go on again. It was because my heart was there. They all felt like my babies. They clung to me. We, like Kelsey said, our team was very unified. We had a mission. It was really cool to see my boys interact with the children and work with the men. And Wolfie, the devotion for the week was Jesus' last message before he left the earth. And something here, I think the enemy comes to distract and divide, and especially he attacks churches and families. And, we have these ideas of what's right or wrong or how we should act or behave or what. But the Lord wants us to be unified, and he wants us to love like he loves. So I'm going to share John 17:22, the glory which you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one, just as we are one. I and them and you and me, that they may be perfected in unity, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them, even as you have loved me. And so my prayer for coming home is that I would see each person I encounter as Jesus sees them. And I don't. I'm a failure. But the unity we felt there and the love of Christ that was there, it's here too. When we don't let the enemy distract us and divide us over whatever it might be, how somebody's dressed or what they look like. So it was really great. We had a lot of men. Dina said we had more men than women this year, and that's not usually the case, so that was really cool to see. I loved watching Ryan interact with the little ones, and he just talked to them in English, just babbled on, kept going, and they looked at him like, okay, but they could feel his love, and they loved him too. And when we got on the bus, we learned that Americans are very heavy. The little Guatemalan people were like, oh, there's a lot of big people. I don't know if the bus can hold all of you. So yeah, it was a totally different experience than I've ever had. Every single part of it, the streets, the walking, the buildings are all connected, the sounds, the wild dogs, but the smells, but I never felt unsafe. That was another concern I had. Not once. I wasn't anxious. It was incredible. Very, very glad we went. Thank you all for your prayers. They were definitely felt, and your support financially and reaching out.
That Guatemala is it's the best place. It was the best week of my life, and nothing will top that trip. And it's just crazy how happy they are. They just have they have nothing compared to what we have, and it's crazy. All the stuff that they don't have, I just took for granted, and it's incredible how they're just always smiling and happy, and we're sad because we don't think we have very much, and it was crazy experience, and yeah, working was fun because I got to work in the garden. So that means like I got to water the trees and stuff, but I didn't really water the trees. I mostly just watered myself. And Greece said I get to go back for a month with her next year.
1 month. So I might be in the same boat as Ryan. We'll see. But the Holy Spirit flows through us in different ways. And what he does for me is that he tugs on my chin and he puts water in my eyes when I speak about these things. So I guess the one thing that I think on the first day where we had a little orientation, we were talking about why are we here? So why are we here? And in the bookend that Dina did a really nice job at talking through, like, all right, now you're going to go into the real world. How do you handle coming back? And we're all put on this earth for different reasons. God has a path for all of us. And anyway, here we go. Chin, eyes. Here we go. And make a joke. All right. So, so the thing I shared with the team as to why I feel drawn to missions, because when I went on my first mission trip to Costa Rica with my wife Rebecca, I read through Romans. I just wanted to read through Romans. Never had done it. Wanted to try it, and there was a verse that stuck out to me that spoke to me about missions. And I would like to share it with you, if I can. Kai, you got any good jokes to kind of lighten the mood here a little bit? All right, so Romans 12, verse 6. In his grace, God has given us gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If your gift is encouraging others, encourage them. If it's giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility generously and seriously. And if you have a gift of showing kindness to others, do it gladly. So when I come back to missions, we hear about people I work with, some friends. How was your vacation? Right? You get that thing. It's like, well, it really wasn't a vacation, but now it gives me an opportunity to talk about doing things that are more eternal than worldly. With the people that I work with, the people that I hang out with, friends, it's, worrying about eternal things is so important. The worldly things, they don't matter, right? They don't matter. So that verse resonates with me, and serving others. God has given all of us abilities and tools and things that we can do for a specific reason. So we talk about going on mission trips, just pray about it. Think like, what am I good at? How can I give that to others? Or what are others good at that I'm not really good at, but I could learn from them, right? So, I got through it.
Right.
Yes?
That guy can lead a team of people on a project. He's very, very good.
And some of the seniors stayed up almost all night, and they caught a possum.
With their bare hands.
Yeah, with their bare hands, and then No. In Guatemala, yeah. And at church, it was pretty great. We stood there and clapped for about 30 minutes, and then we listened to a lady yell gibberish.
Well,
For the bus ride, can I paint you a picture? You know that one scene in Willy Wonka when they're in like the boat and they're going through the tunnel and all the colors? It was kind of like that. But anyways, yeah. When I was there, working was not, I didn't hate it. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. It wasn't too hard, and I liked it. I didn't complain too much, I don't think.
Hi. Let me also paint you a picture. Just imagine you're on a bus with a bus driver on the phone eating ice cream. Oh yeah, and drinking coffee.
And stick shift.
Oh yeah. It's kind of scary, but it's also just like, how do you do that? Anyway, what did I say?
Do you make anything?
Oh yeah. There it's very fun. It's different here. Like coming back, it's very hard to get back into the role of things. But it's definitely worth the plane ride and the bus ride. And it's very fun there, I would say. Like playing soccer with the kids, working on projects, fixing the bulletin board. That was fun. Yeah, I don't know much to say though, but yeah.
We're missing a few people, but that's okay. Wish they were here. Our older youth, or our seniors that we're with, that was interesting. I think that's a good word for it. But anyways, I want to thank all the churches that were involved. I think did we have 5 churches total, I believe, that were on the trip? So thank them all for the support and the prayers and everything. But I'll just give you a highlight of what our days were like when we were there. You kind of heard the bus ride already. Unfortunately in Guatemala you have a 4.5-hour bus ride, which is a little different, but I think we had 6 hours there this time. There was road construction. So, but when we first show up there, we do some orientation that Brian touched on a little bit about why are you here? So everybody gets to write on their card of why they're there, why you were called to be there, I should say. And over time, you'll find out at the end when we do our debrief of, did those words you put down actually come true? Okay, was that revealed to you? And each one, I mean, you can ask each one individually if they want to share that portion. Those of you that have been to Guatemala or Costa Rica, it's similar to what's been done in the past. But in the mornings, we'd wake up, we'd fight over the coffee pot first and foremost, and then sit around and joke a little bit about who's going to get up next. But then we went into our breakfast and then our devotion time, and we did our devotions together right away in the morning, and then it was pretty much off to work. So Brian led the crew on the workforce, and I'll tell you what, it was a roofing project. I mean, there was safety glasses, everybody had gloves on. I mean, it was a Mortensen project. Safety was first and foremost. And Tim was worried we're not going to have enough time to finish this. But with the work project, I think we finished only in a couple days and then had to go back and do some other things. But after that, it was a lunchtime, and then we had a little free time after that to ourselves again, and then we went into group devotions. So that was with the whole campus, the staff, the children, and everybody else. So during that time, either they were sharing or we shared during that time. And then it was pretty much back to work again, till around whenever we decided to quit with the work, and then into the supper time. So our dinner, whatever you guys want to call it, but it's biblical supper. Okay, I didn't want to offend. And then we had a little bit of time to ourselves again, and then it was testimony time. So we heard Dina's testimony, Tim's testimony, Anna's testimony, which was awesome. Greece, you were able to do your testimony. Who else was that? Oh, Blanca. Yeah, Blanca too. And Ryan touched on that. Blanca was somebody that our Sunday school supported for many years. And I finally got to meet her, face to face. That was awesome. But, and then after that, it was pretty much free time until you decided, if you were tired or not to go to bed or whatever. But I will touch on that one night. There was a lot of commotion. And they did catch this rodent outside. It's not, what is it? Well, it's a possum, but they call it something else. Yeah. I had no idea. I didn't get up. I think, Ryan, did you get up and go out?
Yeah, I had to use the bathroom, and I came around the corner, and they had it. And it's like, you know what? I'm going back to bed.
Yeah. So a few years ago, we had seen this. And Tim talks about it. It gets up, you can't leave anything out. And so last year, saw it again. And then one of the first nights we were there, I saw it. But I'm like, yeah, whatever. Told the boys about it, the youth. And a few nights later, here you got Leo holding it up. He caught it by his hands, bare hands. They had been trying to trap this thing. So, but that was quite noisy. We did get to go and serve in an aldea, which is outside a little community, in a church with, I don't know how many kids, 40 some kids. And that's where we get to go out and act like kids. Everybody was playing as a duck, duck, go or something around and so on. We did projects with them. There was little messages here and there. You got to see that side of it. The people there are Quiche, so they don't really even speak Spanish. It's a kind of a Spanish, but Greece and them, they kind of get the gist of it. So interpretation is huge on that part. And then we attended one of their churches, which Anna got to get up and give her testimony in front of a lot of people. Of course, we got to hear it first in English, and then she spoke it in Spanish. So, and their churches are a little different as far as we have, comfort. We sit on these plastic chairs where you don't want to move very far because you're going to collapse. I think that's just a standard in Guatemala. But yeah, a lot of singing. Don't know what they're saying, but you get the point, you get the message. So the best, if you ever do go on one of these missions, sit next to Greece or somebody so they can interpret for you. But to start this whole journey, through the missions, I mean, it's always a struggle because I have Tim who is sitting there constantly poking me. And I said, okay, yeah, we'll start something. I'll see if I can get something going. And pretty soon you have, 4 or 5 people, and then pretty soon it's 8 people, and then, okay, we need a few more. So I start talking and being my persistent self and reaching out like Andrea said, she's like, okay, Willie, quit talking to me and asking me. But it works out. Once you commit, the first thing is you want to be there. You need to want to be there, but you need to be called to be there as well. So I asked everybody to go into prayer because it's not just a trip. It's something that you're going to experience. It's a lifelong journey that's going to start to serve others, and we're all called to serve. And this team was perfectly put together. I mean, from the kitchen to the projects with the children to the work projects, everybody had something to do. It's probably a rough start first day or so, but everybody got their projects to work on. So we talked about the garden and how It's a nutrition center, so they do, they're trying to do more gardening and growing their own food and things like that. You want to hear about that journey? There's a young man back there who was swinging a hoe for how many days in a row? Those guys started that 3 years ago. So that was quite the project to get that going. But now with the greenhouses that we've built, and that was the best thing for them. So there's not a Walmart there. There's not a Hugo's or anything like that. So when they need to eat, that's what they look for, their own food source. And I think we can all say we're glad that we were part of that portion. So are there any other highlights that I missed? You had a highlight?
The mountain hike, very fun. And very tiring as well. When I got back, I took like a very, very long nap, like for 3 hours? I thought it was 7. Like very long nap for like 3 hours or so. 4?
Yeah, at least.
Very fun though, very fun. Yeah.
But I hope we can, we're all called to serve. I just, keep it in your hearts to serve. I mean, serving on a mission is not just, we don't have to go abroad to Guatemala. There's missions right here, whether it's in this church or community, the area, our nation. But if you have it in your heart to do that is the best thing. If you want help, just ask us, and we can get people started on that mission or whatever you want to do. He puts the teams together. So I didn't put the team together, he did that. And I think our first mission to Guatemala was like in 1997. That's when it started. And then we just keep on. But I
created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the sky, over every living thing that moves on the earth." God has created man in his image to be in relationship with him, to rule over creation and to reflect the glory of God. It is hard to summarize how God has created us in his image. Because when we look in the mirror, we look at our faults. We ask, is my hair parted in the right place? How long's my beard? What makeup do I need to use today? God has created us in his image. He has created us in his image because he has said, "I desire relationship in the Trinity." And because of that example of the Trinity, he has said, "I have created them in our image that they may be like us and may know us." His desire for relationship with humanity is clarified throughout Scripture, that he has came to this earth and has called us to come to know him. And he has sent us into the world to reveal the truth of his word to people that are far from him. God has called us to rule over creation, to act as stewards of the things that he has given us. And those things are very great and vast. And in just a few days, and maybe even now, you've already begun your planting and treatment of the earth in preparation for the harvest to come. God has given you a purpose in stewarding and shepherding the things that he's given you. Because his desire is that we would reflect the glory of God in all things. When you look at the mirror, who do you see? When you look in the mirror, do you see yourself? Or do you see what God created? We'll take it a step further. When you go about your everyday life, do you see God at work in other people? Or do you see their sin? Do you see their brokenness? Do you see their hurt? Because if we take Genesis 1 seriously, as we should, there is a commandment within it that we reflect the glory of God in all things. Because we were made in His image, and being made in His image has real implications. The first and foremost is that human life is very precious to God, and He desires relationship with all of humanity, even humanity who doesn't look like us, who doesn't believe the same things we believe, who are far from God and have never heard the name of Jesus. God desires relationship with those who struggle with their sin, and He desires that His glory would be reflected in them for our benefit and His glory. And so we seek to be obedient to God in the things that He's given us to shepherd and steward over. The time that He's given us is something that we've been called to steward well. The treasures that He has given us in the financial ability, in the gifts, talents, and abilities that you have, He has called you to shepherd those things for His glory and our good. The children that He has given us are very precious to Him. And there is a sanctity to all life within this world, because God breathed life into us. Sometimes it's easier to look in the mirror and see the flaws than it is to see the glory of God. Sometimes it's easier to look at ourselves than it is to look at people in their varied hues, cultures, and conditions. Because we don't see Christ in others. But we have been called to go and do for the glory of God. To go and make disciples of all nations. To help them learn what it is to be in relationship with God. To help people understand what it is to take care of the things that God has given us. And to honor Him with those things that have been granted to us. Because when we do those things, we reflect the glory of God. And we see Him at work within us and around us. You want to see God move? Find yourself in an uncomfortable situation and turn your heart in reliance upon Him. You want to see God move? Turn your eyes to where the broken people are. And extend God's grace and mercy to them, that they may see Christ in you and be drawn to Him because of you. Because whether you believe it or not, you reflect the glory of God in your everyday life. Do you see Him moving in you? Turn your heart in faith towards Christ. Make your prayer, God, do your work within me. Do your work through me. Do your work for me and for those that would come to know you. All life is precious to God. And his desire is to be in relationship with us for all eternity. And his desire is that we would shepherd the things that he has given us for his glory. And his desire is that his glory would be made known in us and through us. Jesus is the perfect man. He has done the work to redeem his people, and his call of salvation goes out to all, no matter where they are or what they believe. When you go about your everyday life, can people see Jesus in you? Or are you trying to hide it? Because it's easier to allow nothing to happen than it is to reflect the glory of God.